Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I am passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you were meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. We are so excited to be here and so excited to bring you not just a solo episode, but I am joined once again with my favorite co-host.
OG co-host.
Matt Aruda.
Hello. Happy New Year.
We have been having so much fun here on the podcast with amazing guests, between shooting at Pearl Street Studio in downtown Burlington, Ontario, but also shooting when we've been traveling. We just did a great studio day a couple months ago in Newport Beach, California, had some incredible interviews and guests and friends there. So I hope that you have been loving a little less of me and more of new people in your orbit. But we wanted to start off the new year with some Matt and Ali energy.
Let's bring it down to the foundation.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is setting yourself up for success and setting yourself up for maybe having the most abundant year ever. Who doesn't want that?
Let's do it.
So first things first, you have to reflect on last year. And if you're anything like us, and we do have a really great episode that we will link in the show notes that Matt and I recorded last year around this time, where we shared all about how we set ourselves up for a new year, how we set our intentions. We can probably just touch on that today just as a little reframe, a little refresher, if you will, if you don't feel like going back and listening to that other episode. But we really look forward to setting ourselves up for a date on January 1st, where we recap all of our goals that we set for 2024. And I should also preface this by saying we actually use the word intentions when it comes to planning out our year and mapping out our year. We are big lovers and fans of goal setting, and we absolutely use that and integrate that throughout the year, throughout the weeks and the months. But when we're talking, 365 days, 12 months, we have a more diverse process, if you will, where we focus more on intentions. And we break that down into different buckets that is related to our health and wellness and fitness goals. We do personal goals, travel goals. We like to also do house goals.
Yeah, as far as upgrades that we're looking at maybe committing to in the course of the year. And sometimes we get some surprise ones that come along the way. But yeah, it's a means of just planning out what your year is going to look like. And more than that, it's not a wish list, right? It's the idea of saying it out loud, but also having a date implemented so as to know what you're working towards. What we should do a better job at is actually reflecting on it throughout the course of the year as well, as opposed to doing it all Jan 1 and putting it in some sort of 365-day time capsule and not looking at it until January 1st of the following year. Because the reality is life happens and you forget to check in on these things again. And there were goals on that list that were very doable goals, but I think we just forgot and we didn't knock them out. So that might be the first tip on this end, is to go strong with setting up what those goals look like you had mentioned, whether it be financial or personal, or it be physical, anything along the lines of whatever's going on in your life that's important to you or what you think will be important in the next 12 months. But make the dates to go back and look at what your progress has been along the way.
And we live in a world where everyone is obsessed with their iCal, Google Cal. Maybe you use a whole bunch of different systems when it comes to your business and managing your team. So there is absolutely ways where you can integrate those goals and having those check-ins. And I actually just listened to a great Dan Martell podcast episode. I also just started listening to his show, and it is 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Great, highly recommend. But he was saying how he goes in and checks on his goals weekly, daily. Some of his team members have their goals sort of copied and stuck to their desk. So there's a lot of ways that you can do. You can kind of get scrappy with that arts and crafts and have something printed out, but also just the practice of going in and checking in, exactly to what Matt said.
Yeah, and I think also the nice thing with looking back or having those times through the year, whether it be as often as weekly or if you want to stretch it out quarterly because these goals are a little bit larger, they need a little more runway, giving yourself some grace on that end. I read sometime last year and it stuck with me that a lot of time growth doesn't feel like progress until you stop and look back at it.
Mm.
So when you're in it, whatever it is, whatever that growth looks like, that could be dark or messy or scrappy or whatever you want to put to it. Typically, it's not this linear kind of trajectory to just kicking ass all the way through. You're going to be so in it because of the speed you're going at, or because of you having to put your head down and create things you never created before, that you often miss what the byproduct is of that effort that you're putting in. So the idea of knowing you're growing or not, or knowing whether or not you're progressing through your goals, a lot of times that really only happens well after the fact. So you have to find these times to look back through the course of the year, however many times that might be, and really recognize what that growth was, and recognizing that there was progress made. Because when you're so in it at the time, it might not feel like progress. So you've got to give yourself that gift of looking back and having it from from a spot where you've already done all of the work to recognize exactly what kind of an impact you've made.
Well, for me, first of all, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. I'm a highly motivated individual, and looking back and reflecting on my progress on something, our progress on something, motivates me to do more and to be better. And that is a feeling that I really cherish. And we've been having a lot of conversations around that, about motivated people and unmotivated people and how we even connect with them. I really connect with highly motivated people because that's who I am. And that's something that, looking back at what we've done and achieved, especially if it's something that we've set this goal, we've set this intention, and we've hustled our butts off to achieve it. And this is probably most specific to, a business goal, maybe a revenue goal. And then at the end of the year, or whatever timeline you are using to measure, you look back and reflect, and you can see and really appreciate all of your grit and your hard work that you put in to achieve that goal. And also celebrate that. That's something that I think we talk about often. Hopefully, as listeners, viewers, you can resonate with that, oh yes, Allie, Matt and Allie, the Inspire and Move podcast often talks about celebrating your wins, but it's something you don't want to overlook, because you want to have those markers of success. And if it's something that is, maybe you finally did your first pull up at the gym, and the goal that you set for yourself was doing one pull up. And when you achieve that one pull up, you're going to go to Lululemon and you're going to buy yourself a new outfit, because that's going to make you feel good and motivate you to do two pull ups.
And I think, what we're talking about here is just the built-in feeling of confidence, which typically comes from succeeding at what it is you initially set out to do. I used to be, and I still am to a large extent, in sales for a luxury brand of vehicles. And I always found that the easiest time for me to make a sale was right after I just made a sale. You weren't in any other headspace other than one of confidence, because you literally just succeeded in what it is that you sought out to do. So whether that be something as large as selling a vehicle, or something as, I don't want to call it small, but something that might be as a little bit more digestible as a goal at the gym, or whatever it is that's on your calendar, the idea to strike right afterwards and do it again, or to build on it, it doesn't get any easier, at least from a mental perspective, in that moment. And you can say it a million different ways, make hay while the sun shines, or whatever it is. The end of the day, the reality is always the same, that your mindset is always going to be in its best place to win right after you've just felt what it's like to win. You now have the roadmap, you have the template as to how and why you want to get there. So whatever that looks like, know that looking at those goals through the course of the year and being able to continuously crush them, if you want to look back at them annually, it helps. But looking back at them with a little more regularity, I think fuels you with, or will fuel you with a little bit more of what you need to continue with the race, because it is a long marathon through the course of the year. It's not usually just one goal that any of us put on whatever you want to call it, our lists, our vision boards, whatever you want to call it. There's usually a lot, and it can be overwhelming, especially on Jan 1, to say, this is everything we're going to crush this year. And it's exciting, but it can be overwhelming. So it's nice to kind of have those check-ins to make you realize that not only were you capable of it, you did it very well. And it gives you the ability to continue on sooner than later.
You said another word that I love. Well, it was technically 2 words, but I think this is a beautiful segue into talking about vision boards. And it's amazing because I feel like there's a lot of love right now as we start 2025 with vision boards. And there was a lot of love for vision boards in the past. Then I feel like we kind of lost the vision board love. And now she's back with a vengeance. And it's really beautiful to see the combination of what people are doing, whether it's, the old school magazines and scissors and a glue stick or tape, or maybe you're using something like a Canva or Pinterest board, seeing vision board parties come back into the swing of things. But I think that is something really beautiful to add into your January 2025 social calendar, whether it's something you want to do maybe by yourself and have some solo time, or with some close friends, or with your spouse. I've actually said it to Matt how I think it would be a lovely date, and it was actually my mindset coach. I can't even take credit for it, but my mindset coach recommended Matt and I do a updated vision board because it's something that I've done in the past, but we've been working really hard over the last few years to get ourselves to the next level, and investing in rooms, investing in masterminds and coaches, and then also putting in the work and taking the action to get ourselves to our next level, and being able now to put all of the dreams that we have now from this level that we are at, but we still want to go somewhere else, putting that on this creative piece of paper that we can see and feel and we can build together would be a really beautiful date night. So I welcome all of you to steal this idea that my coach gave me and do this with your partner or your business partner or your bestie, and put those big dreams into a vision.
Yeah, the idea of a vision board, and obviously that's just a physical manifestation of what it is that you're looking to incorporate more of in your life. But I think the idea of anything along those lines that you're putting into paper or speaking into existence, or whatever, however you want to term that, I think a lot of that is essentially almost assuming the role before you are in that role, before you have that role, before you are that person. And it is a hell of a lot easier to recognize not only how to get there, but when you are there, because it's already played out in your mind over and over again. And it's there's so many of these things that I listen to, that I think of when we're having these chats, that are such a resounding resemblance to the things that I remember reading through my whole sports career of sorts, of life. And I remember reading something about Kobe Bryant in particular, where he said he never looks nervous towards the end of the game, whether it be he's taking the last shot or making up the part of the last play for the last shot. He never looks nervous during any of that, because he's already done it 100 times. And what he meant by that is he's done it before 100 times in his mind. He's been there. He's walked through this. He has already envisioned what it was going to be like to feel the ball in his hands, to hear the squeaking of the shoes, to recognize where his teammates will be when he needs somebody to outlet to. He's done it all before. So why would he be nervous? It'd be for him like tying shoelaces. Why would you be nervous about it? Maybe the first time you've ever done it, but not 100 times later. You know how this is going to end. So it's no different with the idea of a vision board, I think, or anything along those lines, as a means of implementing something visual and tactile, so as for you to be able to assume you already have gone through that process before getting to that process. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It makes things a lot easier.
Well, and you hear a ton of success stories about athletes, especially when it comes to visualization.
Just visualizing in general, that's right.
And Olympians that maybe are doing, snow sports, and they're visualizing what kind of jump they're going to do. And it's amazing to see. And he was a Kobe Bryant's coach or mindset coach, was he not? Tim Grover?
Tim Grover.
Tim Grover.
Yeah.
that he probably has a lot of stories, and he's got some amazing books. Relentless is one of them.
Yep.
Maybe we can even link that in the show notes to give you guys that for reference. But practicing visualization, and maybe that is something you want to take beyond creating a vision board, is welcoming the practice of visualization. So if you want to generate your first $1 million in business, you have to really feel that and visualize that. How are you going to dress as someone who has generated their first million, or are scaling and selling your company? And whatever it is, you want to tie that emotion to it. And then you want to embody that person that is going to achieve that goal.
Yeah,
Anything to add?
no, you nailed it. That's the idea of a vision board, right? Is ultimately it's in the name. You need to envision it to be able to achieve it. Otherwise, you're kind of just walking in the dark, hoping that you land on what it is that you are hoping for, as opposed to knowing what you're looking for.
One thing I will kind of parlay off of that beyond, a vision board, the practice of visualization, is then journaling. And this is something that I've been actually really leaning into over the last few weeks, again, as thanks to working with my coach, that I'm paying some good money to work with a professional that is kicking me back in the game and calling me out when I don't do my journaling. But I'm really trying to journal and embody the goals that we have set and we want to achieve. And every day thinking about, like, this feels so aligned. I'm so excited to achieve this. I can't wait to feel this or celebrate this way. And taking that goal and having all of these little offshoots. I mean, you can also lean into some wonderful journal prompts that support you with this, but even just letting yourself free write and feeling the emotions that are tied to what it is that you want to achieve. I'm excited about that.
And it's, as you say these things, I mean, I know there's been a massive uptick in the world of woo in the last little while. But what you're talking about here goes so much further than that. It's not the undirected belief that it'll just happen because you want it to happen. That's ridiculous. It's going to require work. It's going to require constantly checking back in to set yourself back up for as much success as possible. But there are literally hundreds and hundreds of studies out there now that go well beyond anything that's just making you think that it's going to happen, and it being resonating deep from a scientific standpoint within your brain. The idea of literally writing something down, the idea of literally saying it out loud, it has your brain take it on entirely differently, so as to not trick, but to allow you to believe that not only is it possible, but more than that, here's the roadmap to get there. It recognizes it as the reality that you've now set up for yourself, and it will look for ways in which what you're putting out there will then be mirrored back to you right there. What is it? The reticular
activating system,
RAS. RAS. It's a very real system, and we've all known about it for years. We just didn't know the name of it, quite honestly, the way I forgot about it 13 seconds ago. But the reticulating, I don't know, what is it?
RAS.
What does it stand for?
Your reticulating activating system.
Thank you. So it was, and still is, that time where you were first thinking of a car you want to buy, your first car, color car, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you saw it everywhere. Obviously, they didn't have a sale on that car that week where everybody had one.
Aren't you experiencing this right now?
I am. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I absolutely am, especially with cars.
Yeah.
That happens more often than it should with me. But all that to be said, yes, I have my mind on a particular vehicle, and it is friggin' everywhere. And it's not true, because I know how many they make of them, so they can't possibly be everywhere. But man, does it ever feel like they're all over the place. And that's part of what we're talking about here, is as much as you want to go down a path of this being woo, or this being something that you just want the universe to look after, and there's nothing more than that. It's not true. Literally saying it out loud, putting it on paper, or ideally the combination of both, sets off the triggers they need to in your brain to look for the opportunities that you then need to be able to execute on any of the goals that you've got written down.
Well, babe, I love that you're talking woo. That I just feel so proud.
But it's so much more. It's more scientific than I think most people give it credit.
And I've been so excited. I've been really pouring some love and attention back into my blog. So if you didn't know that, there is an Inspire and Move blog. We can link it in the show notes. But I love sharing the books that I have been reading. So between 2022, 23, 24, I will do full book reports, if you will, and I'll link them so it's easy for you guys to find. But also I want to share books that have, money mindset, that some of the favorite money books that I've read, and that's something that supports your goals. And kind of just tying in on the universe and the woo scale of visualizing, maybe manifesting, journaling, all of this comes together, but you want to be really clear. Period. You want to be clear with your goals, even when you set them, so that there is clarity and you know what you're working towards. You know the work and the action that you're taking to achieve those goals. But you also want to be really clear when you are visualizing, asking the universe to have your back, journaling. You want to be clear with what it is you want to achieve. Is it a dollar amount? Is it a certain number of customers that you want in your business? You have to be clear. And that's a great takeaway for us in life in general. Clear with your intentions and this, that. You can talk about relationships, but certainly with goals and talking to the universe. So next thing I wanted to kind of tap into in terms of setting yourself up for success in 2025 is nothing new that you've heard here before, but is really leaning in and welcoming a personal development practice into your daily routine, daily and weekly routine. And something that I've been doing is taking two of my favorite things that I love to do, consuming personal development and exercising, and I have combined them. So now, whether it's after a strength training session with my trainer, or if it's on a cardio day or active rest and recovery day, I will add in active consumption of personal development, either an Audible book or a podcast. And those are sort of our two favorite things that we consume quickly and easily. I also still love reading physical books and highlighting them and making notes in them.
And you go one further. You'll actually do that while you're in the midst of toning down your workout, whether it be in our red light therapy room at Benchmark, or whether you're going on a walk on one of the treadmills, whether you're in compression boots at the gym, any of these things. You're effectively habit stacking, right?
Yep.
And so the efficiency in which you're doing two of these things, and sometimes maybe even three. Maybe you're responding to emails while you're listening to a podcast as you're getting compression work done. So all of that to be said, you find your own way in which it makes the most sense. But the idea of habit stacking is another way in which you can efficiently get through all of your goals.
Thank you so much for listening. If you love this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds and shared this on social media, send it to a friend, or leave a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I am so grateful to have you part of mine.